Welcome back everyone, this is Photography Lounge with another video, this time not about the SL and not about the XH1, at least per se. Now I did bring the Leica SL, I also brought a Zeiss 50mm macro lens, I brought some hobby scissors, my wife's Revlon tweezers, which I think she's had for many years. If you're going to get a pair of tweezers, I suggest, the Revlon is very good. She's had them for probably 20 something. I'm not going to tell you her age, but she's had them for a while and they still work, and she can send them away to be sharpened. Revlon tweezers. I also brought some coffee. Not still warm. Well, warm, but not warm in the, I suppose, the Canadian sense, which is hot. And I brought this lens, or this box, in which is a lens. The lens is the new Yongnuo, or Yongnuo, or Yongnuo. One of those. It's a new macro lens from Yongnuo. It's a 60mm f2, and it's in the box. And I'm going to take it out of the box. Now, I should admit something before we get too far, and that is that I have already opened the box, which is the reason I brought the tweezers, which you'll see for later. Now, I have not put the lens on the camera, and I have not shot the lens, but I have at least, as soon as I took delivery of the lens, I took it out and I just had to fondle it. Maybe I should edit that out. We'll see. Anyway, this here is the box. And this is a weird angle perhaps for unboxing, but I'm new to this. The top. The bottom and the side. You notice that this side here, as well as this side, show the image of the lens. And on this side, you will see the optical construction. I don't know anything about optical construction, so some of you out there, maybe 4chan, somebody there, 4chan will never watch this. But if 4chan did watch this, they could tell you exactly what sort of lens this is by looking at it. And there's a dummy tab. I love dummy tabs. You just pull it like that and then pop the top, because there's a dummy tab for the thumb as well. I don't have to fiddle as I do with some boxes and then break the box. Now, this is a very simple box. Another sip of coffee here. Wonderful. It's a very simple box. You open it like this and you pop out this top, a little hat for it, which I'm going to put on the ground. And inside, unceremoniously laid, is the Yongnuo 60mm macro lens. It, very honestly, after using even something, or after buying and using lenses from, let's say, Feuchtländer and Zeiss and certainly Leica, this looks like something from a garage sale. There's a little bit of a blister here, which the lens originally was in, and I've obviously kind of moved it out of. Sorry about that, Yongnuo. And there's a little twisty tie, which probably tied the box or the bag together. Sorry, Yongnuo. And there is their literature here in Chinese, which I can't read. It's more literature actually than I would probably need. It's a Canon lens, or it's made for Canon, sorry, extremely easy to use. And that, my friends, is the box. I'm going to put the box on the floor. The star of the show, of course, is this, actually, pretty lens. Next to the Zeiss, it's certainly a bit larger. The Zeiss is also an f2. That's a 50mm macro, but it doesn't go down to 1:1, it goes down to 1.2. As you can see from the scale there, the Yongnuo goes down to 1:1 and actually goes to infinity, as does the Zeiss, of course. Most of these helicoid SLR lenses do just that, which is of course a little bit different from what I'm used to in the studio, because my lenses do not go to do not go to infinity unless I can get really, really short flange distances, which was never a problem with the digital back, but it's a problem now with mirrorless cameras, because their flange distance is too deep. Now, let's pop the top. If you'll notice, I popped the top. A little plastic seal that went over the lens just fell off. It's blue. Looks a little bit like a teaspoon, or perhaps like the thing that you pick up those fishes in a goldfish in a Japanese what do you call it? Not amusement park, but you go to like festival in the summer and you take out these fishes. It's pretty clever. Until it breaks. It's made out of paper. But this is, it's plastic, and that's completely unrelated conversation. Has a small front element like this. If you look at the Zeiss is also a small front element. Really well recessed, and doesn't necessarily need, the Zeiss at least, doesn't necessarily need a hood because of that. The Yongnuo is right up there. However, if you go to infinity, it goes way, way, way down there. So infinity, at least, it shouldn't flare at all. Now there isn't a hood in there, but I suppose with the 67, I believe, let's look at this, 67mm thread, you can find some sort of screw-in thread. By the way, check out the sound of this lens cap. There's no metal sort of clinking sound like on the Leica SL's standard zoom. And this lens is metal. Now, as you know, I don't consider something made out of metal to be good just because it's metal. Not at all. However, it feels solid. The helicoid is every bit as good as the Zeiss's. Actually, sorry, the Zeiss is smoother, but both make kind of a dull sort of fine paper on paper sound. The Yongnuo makes a little bit more of a grating sound, which you might hear in certain helicoid lenses, but it feels very good and it's well damped. It doesn't clink, clink, clink. It goes softly into the full stops of the focus range. And the lens cap, the rear lens cap is a solid thing that feels any bit as good as any Canon lens cap, rear lens cap that I've ever held. I'm going to put that down here, bring the Zeiss back over here a little bit closer. And we're going to look at the back. As you will notice, there is no weather sealing, but you can see the Canon electronic ports to control aperture and tell the camera, I guess, what it's shooting. I really don't know. And you can also see a blue, there's a blue seal or cover, lens cover, just as there was on the front. And that's why I brought my wife's Revlon tweezers, which I'm now going to employ to remove this other goldfish scooper and put it in the box. Tweezers are done. In fact, you know what? I don't think I'm going to need them anymore. I'm going to put the tweezers, it's not tweezer, the hobby scissors, which I didn't need, over here, and the tweezers over here. And because I don't own a Canon, I just have the Leica SL, the way I'm going to mount this is, at least according to Novoflex's instructions. Now Novoflex, the adapter I have for it is a Novoflex, it's called Canon ISIS 3 SL EOS. It's an active autofocus adapter. Anyone that knows this adapter and owns a Leica SL knows that the autofocus is rather suspect for Canon lenses, but in general you'll get at least the aperture information transferred and you'll be able to change your aperture on the lens. There are some lenses that don't work with it. Anyway, I'm going to put the red mark here and the nice red mark from the lens together. Twist, and let's listen to this. There's a little bit of a metal on metal sort of fatigue sound. That's rather normal, but it's not loose, which is good. Some lenses go loose onto adapters. Now this is a high quality adapter. Don't have to worry about that necessarily. But and I don't know the price of this lens also, so I can't really comment on how this lens holds up to its price point. But oh, by the way, let's listen to the sound of the Leica and the Novoflex go together. It's good sound. And we're going to turn on the Leica. And the Leica recognizes it as an f2 lens here, which means it's working. And it's a rather handsome combination. In fact, I would say that the stark design style of the lens and its anodizing really match the Leica SL really well. I would also say that if you've got a Canon, maybe it looks all right, but this lens was made for the Leica SL, as was that Zeiss. Beautiful. Now there's a bit of it almost sounds like there's like really fine gears, or like I said, paper grating in there, but the feel of the focus ring is good, and it throws, as far as I can tell, yep, watch the thumb, 180 degrees. And this right now would be at 1:1 focus, so full macro. I'm going to take a photograph of this cap. Not so exciting for you. Maybe you'll see the photograph later. It's an ISO, let's change it to, I'm going to try to handle this, ISO 800. And focus down here at f or at 1:1. And this is totally not going to be a great way to show you at the moment, but I'll show you the image later on. It's pretty sharp, looks good. As far as I can tell, there's not a lot of aspherical aberrations, or that weird color fringing, I guess is what they call it. And let's look at infinity focus. Now, because I'm going to have to infinity focus outside, I'm going to put the ISO back down to 50, and we are going to focus outside. Now, first thing I notice here is that the lens focuses beyond infinity. As you can tell, there's a little mark. It shows infinity about 4 millimeters from the edge of the, as far as the lens stops, to the left. And that is certainly beyond infinity. And to go to infinity, let's see, this looks like infinity here. Infinity is just slightly off from the mark. Of course, that could be because it's getting hot here in Japan now, or it could be because it's got a little bit of extra play and Yongnuo were taking the safe route. I don't know, but it feels good. I'll be doing some more videos about this, comparing it with a favorite 60mm lens of mine, which is the Schneider f460 APO non-macro lens, but a lens that I typically will use for product photography, down to, I think, 3 times magnification, which of course I shouldn't. It's not a real macro lens, but it performs as well as can ever be considered for a non-macro lens. So this rather convoluted desk here, with all these caps, this coffee, and this lens that I didn't use at all, is now ready to be wrapped up. The sample photos shown here are of JVC's HA-FD01 dual-diaphragm earphone. As you know, I'm an audiophile, and I got into this whole photography business because of my audiophile interests. I will later do a video probably about this earphone, and perhaps some others. Thank you very much. I'll see you later.